Aita for being really crude to my nosy aunt about my sex life. For some reason, whenever my aunt calls and catches up with family she really picks on me. She sees me as the slutty one in the family with a steady stream of boyfriends. I've only had like half a dozen, and I'm nearly 25, for heaven's sake. Still, compared to her 23 years old pitch perfect valedictorian daughter, I guess I'm easy pickings. This last week, she had the nerve on a family call with my cousin, my older sis, and my dad to bring up my dating life, something silly about how I'm getting along without meeting my BF that often. You know, I'm hungry and thirsty for sex unlike her perfect little girl. She made a really bad comment about how I should be careful and that you never know when you can get pregnant. That's why her daughter's waiting to get engaged. Little did she know, but my cousin and I are tight, so I wouldn't rat on her. In the heat of the moment, I responded, "Don't worry, I make sure it's only on my face each time, no chance of pregnancy there." My sis thought it was hilarious. My dad stifled a laugh, but my aunt got mortified. She huffed and puffed about how rude I was and how inappropriate it was to bring this up with family. Wait, sex lives are inappropriate in family conversations. Wouldn't know it from talking to her. Apparently my aunt and dad had a long call afterwards, and she had the nerve to tell me to apologize to her and for setting a bad example for her perfect daughter. So I just did something lukewarm to ease off the family drama. But Aita here? NTA, might I suggest the following? Dear aunt, I'm sorry you were offended that I responded to your constant uncalled for, intrusive, and let's be honest crude comments with a response in kind. I'm sorry you are upset, and let me suggest, if you don't like responses like that in the future you avoid commenting on my personal life. But if you want to continue to make such comments I will take it as you wish me to keep making comments like I did. Apostrophe. Maybe share with her another workaround to pregnancy link. youtube.com/watch v equals ft5bbrjlgr8. NTA, and that's hilarious. Yeah it is. Good shit. NTA. NTA. The frigging hypocrisy. Also, love how you didn't throw your cousin under the bus. I know that would have been the bigger blow to your aunt. Obs, nothing wrong having sex, but you didn't go there. I'm not going there. For all her mom's obnoxiousness she's alright. We are not super close but she's cool. How do you set an example for a 23 years old woman? Question mark? Question mark? We only do anal. McDrop. Lol. My BF wishes. But he's not getting it lol. Lol, she doesn't need to know that. If you don't want to hear about my sex life then you shouldn't ask about my sex life. NTA. In the wise words of Mariah Carey, why are you so obsessed with me? You're an adult in your mid-20s, and she has no business dragging your father into the matter, nor making this a topic of conversation at all. BTW, if she ever brings up a subject like this again, tell her you won't be watching her next child if she has a surprise perimenopausal pregnancy. NTA, and well played. Lol, what's that? Sometimes women near the change of life get lax about birth control. Basically the rejoinder turns the tables and gets clinical about her personal sex life and her risk of unintended pregnancy. Turnabout is fair play. NTA, my aunt is the same way with my sister, since she already got some smart remarks from me and doesn't risk that anymore. Every time we're at a family gathering and she pulls that, I tend to give her the death glare along with my parents, and that shuts her up good. I wish this shuts her up. Sometimes this is exactly how you shut someone up. She gets joy out of making you uncomfortable. You just made her extremely uncomfortable. Tell your dad that you'll stop when she stops, and not a second sooner. I've had to do this with family members, but I was blessed to have a mother who had my back. This trick came in mighty handy recently, when I first started dating my move to try and embarrass him. She has a habit of repeating stories. This one story in particular was about how as an infant he was addicted to the boob, and she would go all out making faces and sucking noises and laughing. It didn't bother my but after the 12th time of hearing it in 5 mths I'd had enough. She told it at least twice a month. Finally she told the story again, and I waited till she was done and said, well, it does make sense with how he is. What do you mean? Well, he's a boob man. He's really into playing with tits during sex. I mean, look at my chest. Do you think he picked me out just for my winning personality? The look on her face. Oh man, it was great. She quietly goes, well, now that I think of it, all his exes have been rather busty. Are left with the biggest ducking smirk. It's been 4 years. She hasn't said the story ever again. Sometimes you just gotta make them super uncomfortable. It's not so funny anymore. NTA. Whenever my family asked when my wife and I were going to have kids, I would tell them that we practice every night, and I'll let them know when we perfect it. Most people got a kick out it and didn't ask again. My aunt was mortified, and my dad saw her reaction and couldn't stop laughing. I got up out of my seat and said, speaking of which, it's about that time, and walked out of the room. My dad and I still laugh about it. NTA. In fact, well played, but you might have added you should try it auntie, it's great for the skin, it might get rid of those crow's feet. NTA. She was rude. You had a snappy comeback. No need to apologize. Especially if it means you can skip calls with her in future. NTA. Stupid game / stupid prizes. I was in my 20s and single, and my TBH hella creepy fundy aunt was trying to pry / infer I wouldn't marry. Imitates creepy fake sweet little girl voice. All the good ones will be gone soon. Exclamation mark. So whenever she would ask, so, anyone special? Question mark. I started leering and saying, well, you know, I've been having so much fun holding auditions that I haven't bothered casting the part. Exclamation mark. Sounds mild. I made it sound filthy, and she would nearly gibber and back off. Good times. NTA. She can mind her own business. Simple as that. NTA. 10/10ths bravo. Don't apologize. Let it hang. Let her know that if she wants to talk shit about your life, you don't mind inviting her in with TMI. True or not? Too late. Already did. / you already apologized. Too sad. But in this case, someone else commented something about how good it is for you skin. Just make references to skincare routine from now on. She'll be very uncomfortable with that reference, but can't call you out on it, because that would be ridiculous. First of all, ha 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 ha. And now NTA. No, NTA. This is like nosy aunties who ask people when they are going to have children, then get offended when someone says, are you asking if we have unprotected sex? Or, you seem awfully interested in our sex life. Like, sure, auntie didn't say anything about sex, but we all know where babies come from and what auntie is thinking about you doing. She can crow about you being crude, but she is the one obsessing about you having too much sex or something. She does realize it's not a matter of quantity but timing, right? But Op was not talking about pregnancy. Don't you know that any talk of sex that's not for the purposes of baby making is crude and inappropriate? Sarcasm. Obviously. NTA. It might be a good idea to make some contact with her and let her know that the easiest way to avoid boundary crossings around sex talk in the future is that she not bring up your sex and dating life anymore. I actually love this for a boundary because it's hilarious and harmless. Every time you put my sexual behavior on the table as a topic of discussion, you can expect to be met with a crude detail. NTA. And hard pass on the apologies demanding. Best she'd get from me, and only if my dad asked me to do it for him after a good laugh, would be along the lines of, I'm sorry you feel that way. And also nice job coming up with that retort, still laughing. Nah, I already apologized. I hope your apology included the words, I'm sorry for expanding upon your commentary of my sex life. My late very Catholic aunt used to pull the same crap. When I first moved away from home, I was in a house share with 2 guys, and she was horrified. Kept going on to my mother about how I was bringing shame on the family. Then horror of horrors, I found a new house share where I was only sharing with 1 guy. Somehow that was even worse. She just wouldn't shut up about it. She started berating me when I was visiting my folks one time and I wasn't having any of it. She's going on about what a disgrace I was and how it was way past time that I was married and having kids, etc. I asked her why she thought marriage would be so appealing given that I'd looked at her 5 kids, 3 of whom were already divorced, and 1 was working on it. She starts going on about how I shouldn't be having sex outside of marriage. So I dropped it. What, like you did? I mean, you got knocked up, right? And that's the reason you had to get married? Apostrophe. She started blustering. I mean, I can do basic arithmetic. She had an 8-pound baby 6 months after she had got married. Never had any further discussions on the topic, which was just fine by me. Aita verdict. NTA. NTA. I suggest doubling down. Get a little more graphic each time she gives you crap. Eventually you can tell her to get her jollies from Pornhub like a normal person. I hope this stops her lol. NTA and you're my hero. This reminds me of a Christmas where my aunt cornered me, 24F at, and started preaching about saving it for my wedding night, and I snapped and said, should we have had this talk when I was 18? Because there have been a lot of wedding nights since. LMAO, don't start shit and there'll be no shit. NTA. NTA. Maybe she'll keep her speculative mouth shut about your private life from now on. Oh, I wouldn't count on it. Keep your nose out of my vagina, auntie. When you stop asking me about my sex life, I'll stop responding with details. NTA. NTA. This reminds me of when I made my aunt mad. I have PCOS and have been on birth control for the longest, even before I was sexually active, and my aunt saw me take my family pill heading to the restroom and had the nerve to tell everyone that I was taking birth control for whatever reason. I told her, if you want to talk about things that shouldn't be anyone's business, let's start with your husband's bastard child you just found out about. Apostrophe. NTA. NTA. Turn this around on her. Oh aunt. Why are you so interested in my sex life? Why are you obsessed over what I do? I find your questions intrusive and troubling that you think about me having intimate relations with my boyfriend. Are you getting off thinking about me? I'm really horrified about how interested in me you are with all of your questions. NTA, duck her sexist slut shaming. She sucks. You're 25 years old, you can have sex when you want. It's natural and normal. She's being really creepy, and you should have your dad tell her to apologize for being so over-invested in your sex life. Question mark? There is no reason she should be concerned about this. It's inappropriate, like she said, and you should limit contact with her if it continues. Her behavior is concerning and emotionally abusive. Like, why is she trying to punish you? And why does your family get her degrade you? NTA, and I'm confused. Is your cousin waiting to get engaged until she's pregnant? Or is she currently pregnant? Or is she only going to have sex once engaged? I'm guessing she thinks she'll only get intimate once she's engaged. Oh boy. Wow. This is not 1830. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.